Okay, good afternoon. My name's Ian Bristow. I'm the CFO of Symphony Environmental Technologies PLC, and I'll give you a presentation on where we are and where we're going. Okay, for those who don't know us, corporate summary, we are a specialist master batch developer and supplier. Head office in Bournemouth, northwest London, currently employing 31 staff. Our sales go through a distribution network, and it's a network we've been developing over the last 10 years. We have close to 70 distributors selling into nearly 100 countries globally. And our sales mix is quite well spread through places like South America, Latin America, Far East, Middle East. In terms of manufacturing, we manufacture in our different regions. We have manufacturing in Europe, in the USA, and in the Far East. We've got the usual accreditations, 9001 and 14001. And as a business, we're operationally geared. We operate margins of about 45 to 50%. A lot of our costs are in our distribution network. So as we see revenues grow, you will see that go pretty much to the bottom line. Now, as you know, Blue Planet and everything, Sky Ocean Rescue, plastics is top of the agenda, which is great for us. We've been waiting for this moment for many, many years, and our making plastic smarter technologies, as I'll go through, actually solve a part of the solution to the current plastics problem, which has been acknowledged in various parts of the world already, which some of you may know, in the Middle East and in the Far East. And our action this year is really to get it top of the agenda in Europe and the UK. Just quickly on the financials, just so you can get an idea of who we are. Revenues 8 million until December last year. That was a growth of nearly 22%. Gross profit margins, as I said, 45, 46%, £4 million contribution from gross profit. We do invest in R&D, so we have other products as well that we're investing in. If we take that away, our EBITDA before R&D was close to 1.2 million. So good profitability, good core profitability within the business, and that's grown substantially since 2016. And just the last thing on that slide really is we generated £1 million of cash last year, so cash generative as a business. So our operational highlights for last year. Saudi, big market for us, big growth sector. They started enforcing legislation which required the use of oxo-biodegradable plastic technology. And that's a technology that we are the world leaders in, and our D2W is the most recognized brand in that. And they started May, June last year into enforcing it in a number of products. So last year our revenue increase to some extent was due to Saudi Arabia, and it's only really just beginning there. They're still enforcing slowly but surely in that part of the world. We also believe that other parts in the Middle East will also enforce and legislate similar to Saudi. Just as other products that we've been investing in over the last few years, D2P antimicrobial gloves, selling into Wilco, one range in there, but more substantial sales now in Italy. We've sold 9 or 10 containers already into Italy this year, and we've got containers going into the Middle East and the USA. So maybe this year into next year, we'll start to see that as a key revenue line in our results. Also with D2P, we're selling antimicrobial master batch, which is the magic ingredient, which goes into water pipes in Pakistan. Water pipes are huge, as you know, and once we get Pakistan properly up and running, we will replicate that globally. And in terms of R&D, we are continuing and will continue and have a substantial amount of R&D. So in terms of the market overview, plastic market is huge. It's 320 million tons. So whatever you're seeing on the news at the moment, plastics is here to stay. Plastics are growing 3 or 4% or 5% per annum, as my slide says. There's recycling in that, as we all know. There's food-based plastics coming on stream, but the percentages are low compared to the amount of plastics that are being used and consumed globally. So what do we do with that plastic? D2W, this is the main thing, okay? Most of our revenues derive from it. Our D2W goes in at 1% to ordinary flexible plastics, okay? The plastic itself has a shelf life, which is fine. Once it litters into the environment, if it does, and hopefully it doesn't, but as you know, littering happens, it will allow that product to oxidize. It will allow it to degrade and biodegrade in the open environment in a very, very short time scale compared to ordinary plastic. That time scale could be months up to a year, depending on the environment, depending on the product, but that is significantly less than ordinary plastics, conventional plastics, take. Now, if we consider that if D2W was put into plastics many, many years ago, you would not have the plastic in the oceans today. Our plastic, or our master batch that goes into plastic, causes plastics effectively biodegrade in water. They become soluble. It allows microorganisms that are living in the sea or in fresh water to consume the plastic. We held a seminar on Monday, and Chris Packham, you'll see there, he opened the seminar for us. The seminar was all about D2W and how it makes plastic smarter. A very successful event, and it led with Chris being on the One Show in the evening. So if you've got your iPlayer loaded at home, have a look on the One Show for Monday evening. You'll see Chris Packham, not mentioning Symphony, but he mentioned the technology, oxo-biodegradable plastics. And Michael Gove, who we've been speaking to as well, acknowledged oxo-biodegradable, and the government are looking into it at the moment. So, up-and-coming events, simple slide this one. This is all about communication. We have the answer to the litter problem. It fits in with the 3 Rs of plastics. And what we're doing this year is we're upping our communication. We've got Earth Day coming up. Well, I think there's quite a few Earth Days. There's a particular Earth Day coming up tomorrow. We've got a glove launch on the 3rd of May. And we're going to be in Brussels, 23rd to 24th of May, a very, very important business summit. And we're going to be one of the sponsors there. And there will be further events this year. So it's all about getting oxo-biodegradable, D2W and Symphony in the conversation, in the rhetoric, with the current plastic problem that's being discussed. So legislation, we've already got legislation in various countries. Many African countries have got legislation in full or in part. As you can appreciate, in Africa, there's no recycling. They need plastic to keep their food hygienic and for human health as well. So a few countries there have legislated for our products, but significantly as advised, Saudi Arabia, but also the UAE and also Pakistan, various territories in Pakistan have legislated. In terms of our revenue, if Saudi Arabia itself went fully oxo-biodegradable, which it could do, that could more than double Symphony's current revenues. So you can see the potential impact for Symphony of what's going on with plastics and how D2W can fit in that. In terms of, obviously, we'd love Europe and the UK to start getting in on that. So our task this year is to work very hard. But we don't need the UK and Europe to actually legislate for us. We've got enough in the rest of the world to give us significant growth, organic growth during this year and in the years to come. Now, you may think of plastic as carrier bags. Now, that slide there in Saudi Arabia, you can see the types of products there. Courier bags, mail order bags, flower wrap, bubble wrap. I could go on, you can read the list. What's also significant for Saudi Arabia is that it includes any imported product. So we're getting phone calls from Korea where they make TVs, LG TVs that go into Saudi Arabia. Those TVs have to be wrapped in plastic using D2W. Flowers coming out of Kenya, they have to be wrapped in D2W. We're getting emails and phone calls all around the world on this, so very significant for us. So in terms of just D2W, which is our core product, we've got an established global network. We've been doing it 15 years, so we can go into all products. It's scientifically tested, food approved, soil safe, etc., etc. It doesn't interrupt the supply chain. So in terms of growth, we can grow tomorrow, the day after. We've got no restrictions in terms of technology, in terms of supply chain, in terms of cash flow either. Lead times 2 to 4 weeks for us, using 3 or 4 factories globally. And it fits in with the 3 Rs, because at the end of the day, no matter how much you enforce the 3 Rs, there's going to be littering of plastic, and this is what our product deals with. So we expect, as an outlook for D2W, more countries to legislate, better enforcement, and also increasing our communications, as I went through in some depth. Now then, we spend about £500,000 a year on R&D. We have done for the last 4 years, and what have we got to show for it? Well, you can see a nice little roulette table, if you like, of D2P products. D2P is designed to protect, and I'll go through some of those. I won't go for those ones. These are the type of products. You've got chopping balls, you've got your Tupperware types containers, kiddies play pit balls, plastic pipes, gloves, etc., etc. So all those products we have trialed and tested at with various distributors around the world, and they're areas that we can commercialize over the years to come. I'll give you a couple of examples. Just the pipes, Dadex in Pakistan, they're the largest pipe producer in Pakistan. They've been putting D2P into their pipes, for the last 12 months or so, and what they're trying to do is encourage their customers in Pakistan to use D2P antimicrobial in pipes. And you can imagine within a water pipe, the biofilms that can generate there. And if you've got a D2P antimicrobial in that pipe, it will prevent the biofilms from forming, and it will prevent the nasty microbes and bacteria to grow and potentially come down the tube to you. It's for the mains and also for the household pipes as well. And during this year, we hope to be able to expand that globally into our global network. So it's an extremely exciting opportunity there. And it's the graphics there. This is the other side of what we've developed up to now. Protects our health and hygiene. We have, bottom left there, gloves in Wilco, antimicrobial gloves. That's allowed us to really launch in Italy with a brand, Arcasa. They're like your Addis brand in Italy. I think they're second in the housewares. And they've actually got this product, these gloves, similar to the gloves we've got above there, disposable gloves, household gloves, in many of the large name retail stores in Italy. And we're looking to expand that into Spain and Turkey and into France, et cetera, et cetera. So that's extremely exciting for us. So that's a growth potential for this year. D2P summary, there actually gives you some of the other D2P items that we're working on. Insecticides, flame retardants, rodent repellents, corrosion inhibitors. Because of the distribution network we've had for the last 10 years and because of the D2W work we've done, this is, for us, is working in the same markets. We're working with the same end users with all of these products. So there's lots of upside potential for us in this year and into next. And we're going to continue our R&D program and, as I said, commercialize these as best we can. So just a quick summary there, really. In terms of our business, financially, we're doing very well. Increased revenue and profit in 2017. Earnings per share increased. We were cash positive last year. Also, we've reorganized our balance sheet. Positive reserves, which in the future could enable us to do some corporate activities, distributions, if we need to. Operationally geared with a global distribution network. D2W, as you know, plastic is the main topic on the agenda. We've been improving legislative and enforcement regimes. And of our D2P, which I've just been through, we have a couple of commercial outlets now for that, which can grow. And we've got a whole plethora of projects and activities that's going on with D2P that could leverage on the back of that. So all of this is within a multi-billion-dollar growing market. So we'll take questions. Any questions, anybody? Well, we are unique as a business. In terms of master batches, additives, which is our primary business, you've got some very large companies out there, Ampersat, Schulman. They supply your colors and all their stabilizers and stuff. They're not selling anything like what we're doing, our products. And then you've got some very, very small companies, private companies, selling some oxo-biodegradable type technology, which is, in a way, is actually helping us because you can't have legislation if you've got a monopoly. You do need competition. And to give you an example of the value of this market, even with competition, our D2W went into 200,000 tons of product last year globally. But there's still a small scratch on the 300 million tons of flexible packaging out there. So for all of us, there's a massive market to go for. Okay, the question was owning of intellectual property. With us, the intellectual property is know-how, it's brand. Okay, this prior art in these products, there's competitors doing similar products, but what we found is that the application of the product, we have the historics, we have the factory, working with factories globally over the last 10 or 15 years. It's having the know-how to apply that product into end applications. So in terms of know-how, it's really like a Coca-Cola. It's a recipe. It's all about the brand. This is where we are. Yes?
Is there any degradation of the efficacy of the D2P over time when putting it in the pipe or
Oh, fine. So the antimicrobial, the efficacy in a pipe, it will last 50 years along with the pipe. Okay, so it migrates very, very slowly to the surface, and it doesn't sort of all leach out within a few days. So there's no problem with efficacy over time with D2P. Any other questions? No, it's me done. Oh, sorry, yes, sir. Degrade. Well, how long does it take for plastics in the ocean to degrade? It depends on the temperature, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just trying to remember some tests. We've done some tests in the south of France over the last few years. We found that within 70, 80 days, we found that the plastic, D2W plastic itself, has dissolved within the water, and where ordinary plastic was still sitting there as a whole lump. So very, very quick compared to ordinary plastics. Thank you. Sorry, yes, sir. Are we going to pay dividends? Well, I'm not promising dividends today. What we've done, we've reorganised the balance sheet such that in the future, if we wanted to, we could. But that's not a policy that the board at this moment in time have got in place. But that's not to say that, depending on what happens in the future, we don't do that. But we are in a position to, if we needed to in the future. I wanted to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.